I took my body from 26% body fat to now just 17%. Throughout that process, I made a lot of big mistakes, but that helped me learn a lot of really important lessons that I think would be really valuable for someone to hear that is on a similar journey. By the end of this video, I'm going to share the one lesson that completely changed how I approach transforming my body now, and it's something that I think not a lot of people talk about. But before we get to that, let me walk you through the other lessons that I think made a huge difference for me. The first lesson that I learned is that the holy grail for fat loss is not doing excessive amounts of cardio and sweating as much as I can. When I first began my journey, I would spend like an hour and a half at the gym just swapping between running on the treadmill and walking on the Stairmaster. I think I gravitated towards cardio machines because it was all I really knew. I grew up my whole life playing sports, but there really wasn't a lot of room in the budget to hire a strength coach for the girls' basketball team, and no one else in my family was really interested in lifting weights at that time. So really all I knew was how to run, play, and throw a really messy hook uppercut that I learned from P90X. If you know, you know. Of course, I was also under the illusion that the more I sweat, the more weight I was losing. So I would always wear a very thick hoodie to the gym whenever I went, and I would leave just like completely drenched, probably dehydrated, and I felt really skinny though because I would lose like 3 pounds of water weight. But I spent probably like 2 years really dedicating myself almost exclusively to cardio machines, and it got me no closer to my goal. That brings me to lesson number 2, which is that it's much easier to control the amount of food that you eat than it is to try to burn off calories via exercise. I was 17 or 18 when I first started working out consistently, and at that time I really didn't know much about nutrition other than like eating some protein was good for you, fruits and veggies were healthy. So I never really changed much about my diet at all. I actually remember that at this time my sister worked at Dunkin', and she would bring me home like an extra large caramel coffee almost every single day. And that was probably like 500 calories right there. So that was one of the habits that I had picked up. And I thought that I could do that and still get my dream body. The thing about trying to outwork a bad diet is that it will take you hours to burn off 1,000 calories, but you could eat 1,000 calories in under 15 minutes easily. Trying to create a deficit by burning off the calories is not a sustainable approach, but it is sustainable to say, okay, so I'm gonna cut out all sugary sodas or beverages from my diet, which might save you 500 calories a day, which at the end of the week is 1 pound of weight loss. That is marginally more easy and effective to do than try to run like 5 miles a day to burn those 500 calories. The third most important lesson that I learned is that there is no perfect diet. What I mean by that is that every weight loss phase or temporary phase of calorie restriction requires some sort of restriction, which means that there is a really high chance that you're gonna feel hungry or dissatisfied in some way. I've tried so many diets in search of that one that will just take those feelings away, and I think it actually prolonged my success because I was literally searching for something that doesn't exist, and I was focused on the wrong thing. My best advice is to accept that every diet comes with some sort of drawback and look for ways to make the diet work for you so that you can sustain it for the needed amount of time. For example, I prefer to track and control my calories and macronutrients using MyFitnessPal. This is the diet that I prefer because I don't have to cut out any specific food group or nutrient. To make this diet really work for me, I do certain things that I know will increase the likelihood of my success, like saving my biggest portion of protein and vegetables for dinner because I know that's gonna really satiate me and help me from having those like late night cravings. Something else I found that really helps me is unfortunately cutting out my Starbucks cold foam iced coffees, which probably have like 300 to 500 calories. And instead, I just opt for a sugar-free creamer in my coffee, which does satisfy me just as much and doesn't make me feel sluggish afterwards, which is always great. By making that small switch, I not only save a ton of money, but then I could use those calories towards eating actual food, which makes the diet easier for me. Speaking of perfection, lesson number 4 is that consistency is more important than perfection. I think that one of the biggest mindset hurdles that people face is that they feel that they have to be perfect 100% of the time to be successful, which is the farthest thing from the truth. The most important thing is consistency, and consistency does not require perfection. It does require that you continue to show up and just put your best foot forward. I've been a personal trainer and nutrition coach for the last 5 years, and I could say that I've seen seen so many people sabotage their own self by having an all or nothing mindset, which I think stems from this idea of perfection. I sabotaged my own self by thinking like this, especially when I was in college. I had this terrible habit of Monday through Thursday eating really, really well. And then Friday would come and I would, go out to eat with my friends or something. I would have one meal that I deemed bad for me. And that would just send me on this terrible spiral for the next 3 days. And I always had to restart on Monday. So I would always end up in the same place that I started. No progress was really made. But now I know that weight loss is truly a numbers game. The more calories or energy that I consume over maintenance, the more fat I'm going to store. So instead of chalking the day up to just a complete loss and eating everything that I can, which is something that I totally used to do, I now realize okay, the calorie count for today is not going to be perfect, but it's also not going to destroy all of my progress. The absolute greatest and most important lesson that I've learned is that if you want to transform your body and you want it to be a long-lasting thing, because let's be real, who wants to transform their body, lose body fat, and then regain it all or more in the next year, which is usually what happens, you have to do it because you actually love yourself, because you want to feel better, and because you want to live a healthier, better life. I started my journey because I didn't like the way I looked. I was afraid to wear a bathing suit, even in front of my friends, but especially guys. And I just wanted to be skinny because, that was everywhere, right? You saw it in the magazines, you saw it on TV, and those people looked like they were thriving. So at that time, I held being skinny up on such a pedestal. That lasted from the age of 16 to probably 21. So, my journey started because I didn't like myself, and I'm sure so many people can relate to that. But I feel like I started to actually make real progress when I began to just enjoy and love the way that exercise made me feel. And my confidence would just skyrocket when I walked into the gym because I loved what I was doing there. It just made me feel really strong, and I was proud of the way that I was progressing, and that is still the case to this day. Self-hatred will only get you so far because it's absolutely exhausting. But loving yourself and choosing behaviors that allow you to take the best care of yourself feels easy. I would love to hear the biggest lessons that you've learned so far in your journey, so please drop them in the comments below because I know they're going to help someone else out. And if you've recently transformed your body and you want to learn what I think is the most important step in regards to maintaining your progress, you guys could check out this video right here. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video so much, and I hope to see you guys on the next video.